Life isn't always easy, and sometimes the seasons we go through test us in ways we never imagined. There are moments of joy, moments of heartbreak, and moments where the two show up at the very same time. Today, we're talking with someone who's walked through some of those seasons with courage, faith, and honesty. Leanese is the co-owner of Our Collaborative, a content marketing agency based in Massachusetts, a devoted wife, and a proud mom of 2 little girls. She's faced challenges and seasons of deep loss, yet she continues to show up with strength, grace, and vulnerability. Today, she's here to share her journey, the lessons she's learned, and the wisdom she's gained along the way. Yay! Welcome to Truth Without Edits.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. This has been like a dream that's been boiling up in my heart for a long, long time. And the fact that you are one of our very first guests means the absolute world to me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. When you reached out about this opportunity, I'm like, the concept, Truth Without Edits, like absolutely, yes. Who else? Frenchie, of course. Like I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know that when you and I were chatting on the phone, you were like, this is such a full circle moment, right? And you like, we chatted a little bit about like how we go way back. Yep. Can you talk to that point for like a few moments just to like set the stage for our audience?
Absolutely. Okay, so we are. Can I talk about the town that we're from?
Yes, okay, girl. So, okay. Hype us up.
All right. So we're Holyoke girls. You were BFFs with my cousin, and you guys were a year older than me in high school. So we even had like a history class together, Mr. Regali. Remember
yes,
that? Yeah.
Mr. Regali.
So we were in that class together. We went to the like same church. I saw you work at the bank, and then when you were working at the church, and I was new at the church, I was like, I want to work at the church too. Fast forward like 4 years from that, I did get a job at the church. That's where I met your camera guy, who I'm also the godmother of his son, who like played a huge role in my husband and mine, like our relationship when we were like still dating, not engaged yet. And here we are today, all these years later. We work for the same place, different times, have been in each other's lives technically since high school. So it's full circle. Hi, Louie.
I love it. I love that. I love that story. And when you reminded me of it the other day on the phone, I was like, wow. Like how incredible, right? So Thank you for sharing that. So we are here today to talk a little bit about grief and joy and the journey that you have gone through. And before we get into all of those questions, it's important that I ask this question. And the question is, how do you remember your childhood? What was your upbringing like?
Ooh, okay. So I had a great childhood. Thankfully, this isn't common for everybody, but I grew up in a home where my parents were married. And so I had a mom and a dad. I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 brothers. And we grew up in a very faith-filled home. So we went to church. My dad was a church musician. I grew up singing in church. My mom was like La Presidenta de las Damas, like, you know, all the pro templo activities. So we grew up in church community. Faith has been part of our entire life. And yeah, I had a great childhood, like loving parents, very humble upbringing. I thought it was an awesome like childhood. Yeah.
I love that. Do you consider yourself mommy's little girl or daddy's little girl?
I would say both because I have a great relationship with my mom, but I was definitely daddy's little girl because I'm the only girl.
Got it. Yes.
Yeah.
And they say that girls tend to be a little like closer to dad.
See.
I love that. Yeah. All right, Leanese. So take us back to October 2020 when it was your birthday and you received a phone call.
Okay. So on my birthday, 2020, my husband and I were celebrating my birthday. And so it was a great day. We're celebrating. He's taking me out to dinner. It's just him and me. We don't have kids yet. And I get a phone call from my mom. And I never decline her calls because she rarely calls, right? So if she calls, it's important. And in that moment, I pick up and she's telling me, like, I was at an appointment with your dad. The doctor is telling us that they found a mancha, like a mass, on his lungs. They're going to run some more tests, but they want all of us. So your 2 brothers, yourself, your dad, and I to go to an appointment in 2 weeks. And so that just like changed the whole outlook of my birthday celebration because now it's like, who invites 5 people in a pandemic to a doctor's appointment, if not for bad news? So that was my birthday. That was a phone call that changed everything, I would say.
How do you remember feeling in that moment?
it was like, you've ever seen like in a TV show or a movie where they're planning a surprise party and they're like, surprise, but then all of a sudden something happens and it's just like the streamers fall and the room gets dark. It was that. I was celebrating, pew, and then the lights just went out.
Oof. So days later, so now you're finding out that your father potentially may have something. We're not sure, but you have this gut feeling because they're inviting 5 people to a doctor's appointment.
In a pandemic.
Exactly. Which we know you had to go all by yourself to appointments during the pandemic, right? They wouldn't allow people in.
They wouldn't, exactly.
So days later, you find out you're pregnant, Leanese.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Were you excited, or was it even difficult to feel that type of emotion during such a difficult time?
It was exciting. It was almost like a distraction, because I have this new thing to look forward to. So I remember it was like 3 days after. It was a Monday morning, like 5 a.m. My husband was already at the gym, and I take this pregnancy test just because, and it's like positive. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like, okay. And so, yeah, so leading up that time leading up to the appointment was really exciting. Telling some family members, not all family members. So it was actually like a little light in that darkness.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit to the month of November, when now you and your family are going to this doctor's appointment your mom had talked to you about. What happened that day?
So we're at this appointment. I actually have the voice memo it's like a 45-minute long voice memo of that appointment. And I have the voice memo. We're sitting there. It's like my 2 brothers, my dad, myself, and my mom. And I'm wearing skinny jeans and a white t-shirt. My hair was curly. And we're listening to the doctor tell us, comparing, ¿cómo se dice? Scans from the past several years to now. And basically saying, your dad has a very aggressive form of lung cancer. They're going over treatments that we can do. But pretty much, your dad has 3 months to live.
Oof. My goodness.
Yeah.
You're speaking and my heart's racing because I know what it's like to hear like your son has 10 months to live and your grandmother has 6 months to live, and man, is it something freaking sucks. In the midst of this, you're pregnant. So you have this glimmer of hope, but now it's official and your dad does have cancer. Not long after that, something started to happen with your pregnancy. Please walk us through that stretch of time. What was it like mentally, emotionally, spiritually?
Yeah. So this appointment was on a Friday, November 6th. Sunday the 8th, I go to the bathroom and I see just a little speck of like pink on my toilet paper. And I call my doctor and I'm like, hey, I noticed this. And they were like, well, come on in tomorrow. We'll do your HCG count. We'll do an ultrasound, get baseline information, whatever. So fast forward, it ended up being a 2-week long process where they're monitoring this pregnancy because they're not sure if it's an ectopic pregnancy, if I'm miscarrying, if maybe the baby's just growing slowly. So in this 2-week time, I'm processing my dad has cancer, and I'm also saying, Lord, save my baby. Actually, at the time, at church, they were going through this series and we were learning about Daniel. And when they were saying, I know God can, I know God will, but even if he doesn't, I will still serve my God, praise my God, like he's still my God. And so that was my prayer in that 2 weeks. Like, I know God can save this baby, I know God will. But even if he doesn't, because my unbelief needed to believe that even if he didn't save this pregnancy, he was still going to be sovereign over my life.
Amen.
So 2 weeks come and go. It's November 20th. Estamos haciendo una pastelada. My family would get together and make pasteles.
So delicious.
Yeah. And so we're all there. And again, like, it's a pandemic. So we're all masked up at my parents' house. Like, my dad's trailing with his little oxygen machine. Like, we're all just making memories and making pasteles. And on that same day, I have a doctor's appointment to find out the fate of this pregnancy. And a bunch of my friends called me at like 6 a.m. to pray. And they're speaking faithfully over this pregnancy. And it's like one of those things that you just never forget. And I go to this appointment by myself. My husband wasn't allowed to come, and I'm at the ultrasound and I'm looking and I'm seeing, yeah, this baby is not growing. And I don't know like what it is about our human nature, but I try, like, I think it's like my response. I turned to humor, even though it was like a very serious moment. So I told the tech, I'm like, look at my uterus being an overachiever, holding this dead baby inside me.
That's so you though, Leanese. That's you.
Yeah. And so she giggled a little bit, like that uncomfortable giggle. But I go to my appointment after this, and the doctor confirms, like, it's a miscarriage. Your baby stopped growing, but your body didn't get the memo and didn't let go of the pregnancy. But she was so matter of fact, very cold about it. And so I was given medication to help this pregnancy terminate. And so my family didn't know that I was going to this appointment. So I go back to the pastelada, and we're making pasteles. And I am beginning the processes of terminating this pregnancy. I had taken the medication, and my body is starting to contract and be in pain. And I'm making pasteles and putting on this dumb fake face.
Does your family know you're pregnant at this point?
Some of my family knew.
Some of them knew.
Yeah.
But I can imagine you're also thinking, I'm creating memories with my dad, right? So
yeah, I'm not going to mess up this moment.
So you're going to go back, even if your body's going through this process.
My dad never knew that I had a miscarriage. I ended up telling him that I was mistaken about the pregnancy because I didn't want him to think that his cancer diagnosis caused me so much pain that I lost the pregnancy, because obviously that's not what happened.
You protected him from that.
Yeah.
By the way, we have tissues right there.
Thanks.
Right next to you, because I'm about to go grab some for myself. I'm trying to hold it in here.
We could make it a centerpiece.
Yeah, seriously. I'm so happy you did that, Leanese, because it brings me back to when my son was diagnosed with cancer. We never told my grandmother because we wanted to protect her heart.
The heartbreak, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you did for your father. In January of 2021, you find out you're pregnant again,
Yeah.
Leanese. What was that moment like, coming so soon after your loss and still dealing with this process? Your dad is sick.
Yeah. It was an intentional pregnancy. It was when I had my miscarriage, I asked my doctor, like, how soon after this can I get pregnant again? I didn't think that I needed to grieve. I did need to grieve, but I wanted to get pregnant again. I wanted to have another baby. And so she was like, as soon as you have your first period, you physically can get pregnant again, and it'll be it'll be a healthy pregnancy, and we have no reason not to believe that it'll be a healthy pregnancy. So that's what we did. As soon as I had my first period, 4 weeks after, we tried for this pregnancy, and thankfully it happened right away, thankfully. But yeah, I was still grieving this miscarriage, still going through what I now know is anticipatory grief, right, of losing my dad and seeing his health decline, and now the excitement of this pregnancy and the fear of losing it, which is a fear I didn't have with my first pregnancy because I had never experienced miscarriage. But yeah, January 21st.
Wow.
I found out I'm pregnant.
How did you manage needing to hold joy and grief at the same time? What did that look like for you?
It looked like being so open to the grief. I knew that if I held my pain in and I was afraid to feel it, that it would affect my baby. And so if I had to cry, I cried. I let it out. I released it. I didn't want to be a pressure cooker that then my baby absorbed whatever I was feeling. So when society tells you it's weak to cry, or like you have to just keep pushing through, I knew that in order for my baby to have a good shot at life and a decent mental health, because what happens in utero does affect them, I needed to be responsible with my grief and my pain.
I love how you put that, because at this point you've already experienced a loss and you're like, we're going to do things a little different now, right? Not knowing how that would turn out still, but just having the utmost faith in God that he would allow this baby to continue to grow, I can imagine. This episode's really deep.
Yeah.
So as I'm asking you these questions, I'm processing a lot as well, because I've lost 2 family members to cancer. So it's the first episode I have talking about this. So
Yeah.
it's a little like, whew. So when you and I chatted on the phone a couple weeks back, Leanese, and I invited you to come on the show, you mentioned that you and your family made a decision to plan your father's funeral in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my goodness, that's so brave. And it just speaks to your strength. And I don't even know what else to say about it, because you're already going through so much, yet you say, like, we're going to do this. What gave you the strength to do that while carrying new life within you?
I don't think I considered that. I don't think I considered, I need to do this and I'm pregnant. I knew I was grieving my dad as he was alive. Like, I grieved that strong, hardworking man that he was, the physically strong person. And I knew that my dad came to terms with his fate. And so he was putting in a lot of work, like, to make amends with family members, to have those hard conversations with us, his children, with my mom, his wife, about asking for forgiveness and saying, this is what I would want when I pass away. And I didn't want to pretend that that wasn't happening, because he was doing something really brave and not pretending that he was dying. And so I needed to match his bravery. If he's saying, this is what I want, well, then you're going to get that. And the best way for me to provide that is by doing it now, when I'm not caught up in the fact that I just lost you. So, like, I would say, like, several weeks before he passed away, obviously not knowing when he was going to pass away, I had made an appointment at the funeral home, and I went by myself. I said, my dad is sick. He has approximately this long to live, and I would like to make his funeral plans. He has this life insurance policy. Like, what does that look like? So I was asking questions, but also pre-making decisions, so that on the day of, all I had to do was go with the folder that they provided me with and say, these are the decisions that we made. Make them happen.
Which is also so wise to do. And if more people thought to do that, I'm sure they would, because they're handling it before it actually happens. But I think sometimes people just don't think to do that. But in your case, you were honoring what your dad wanted.
Yeah.
Which that probably helped you in making that decision.
It did.
As you're speaking, Leanese, I'm thinking, was there ever a point where you thought, God could save my father and I won't lose him to this cancer?
I prayed for that, for sure. Like, again, that Bible verse was I was praying that over my circumstance. I know God can, I know God will, but even if he doesn't. But I also know that my dad's cancer was a consequence of his lifestyle. Unfortunately, my dad was a lifelong smoker, and God saves us, but we're not immune to the consequences of our sin. And so I had a feeling that perhaps there wouldn't be healing for his earthly body.
I love that you just said that, because a lot of people can get upset with God. Like, why didn't you give me that miracle that I prayed for, right? And I tend to tell people a lot of times, like, we live on this earth, right? We have a, like, fallen, sinful nature. Like, bad things will happen. Illness will happen, right?
Yeah.
It's not that God loves us any less, or that God didn't listen to our prayer, right? Like, we have faith and we stand in that truth, but things still happen. And I'm reminded of what I would tell God when I was going through it, the same. Like, God, please allow me. Like, I believe that you can do it, but if you don't, like, please allow me to still be that woman who is, like, head over heels in love with you,
Right.
worshiping you all of my days, and believing that you are still God no matter what.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that from you.
Yeah. And also, God did heal my dad. He did. My dad no longer has cancer.
That's it.
He healed my dad. It's just not the way that we expect it to happen. I know where my dad is. I don't have a doubt that my dad is saved.
Amen.
And so that to me is way more important than having had an extra 6 months or a year with him, because his quality of life was not good.
I love that. When you think back to those last weeks with your dad, what stands out the most about your relationship and your conversations with him?
My dad's relationship with me my entire life was a musical one. He would strum his guitar and I could be anywhere and I would show up right at his feet and I would sing and he would play, and that never stopped. Like, even when he was sick and he's on oxygen, his body can't move from here to there. Like, this is too exhausting. From here to the end of that table, it was too exhausting. But he could play a guitar. And so our relationship was that. I was just a little girl again at my dad's feet singing. And there were moments that I think my anticipatory grief wanted to shut that out. And I can think back to that time and say, wow, what a jerk I was, sitting in the living room with my dad, but having a conversation with my brother, acting as if my dad wasn't there, right? Because that happened too. Like, yes, in our grief, we appreciate it, the moment, or yes, in having the blessing of knowing that we had such a short window of time, I did get to treat every day like it was the last. I did get to treat Christmas like it was the last, like we knew it would be the last. But also, in my grief, I did also take for granted that my dad was there because I wanted to pretend, you know, that it wasn't happening. So both things happened at the same time.
Yeah.
But he was like, I don't know, in those last few weeks, in those last few months, él era como un niño. Like, he just had this joy for life. He never stopped praising God. And like, we reveled in that as a family.
What do you think that people often misunderstand about grief?
There's a lot of misunderstandings about grief. So many. The first one that I think is X amount of time has passed. I should be better by now. Months, years, decades. That's not true. Grief is not like a school year. I got an A in grief. Like, I don't have to think about it anymore.
Exactly.
That's like the first misunderstanding. I think another misunderstanding is that the second year is easier. It's not. It's the first year you are doing all of the firsts without that person. The second year is you are triggered when you don't expect to be triggered. You prepare for those hard days. Like, okay, I'm preparing mentally for Father's Day. I'm preparing mentally for his birthday. But then randomly someone laughs like your dad laughed. That's the second year. The third year is like, it's similar to the second year, but less frequent, but just as hard. You drive by a garden. Oh, my dad used to plant peppers in the summer. Like, ouch.
Yeah.
And the fourth, which is, I'm in my fourth slash fifth right now. It's like, it feels final. Oh, he's really dead.
Girl.
Yeah. So it doesn't get easier. And just because it's been this many years doesn't mean that I don't tear up or choke up when certain things happen.
Yeah.
That's the biggest misconception for sure. The first thing that I said.
I love that. That last point you just made, like, wow, he's really dead. Because for me, in my experience, it's like, oh, you know, like this little, like, oh, maybe my grandmother will just come knocking on the door someday, you know, like maybe I'll hear my son say, Mommy. Yeah. But it does get to that point where you're like, oh yeah, God, like they're really gone. Like, this happened.
No one talks about that desperate moment when you just want to hear their voice. And you're like scrolling through your phone trying to find a video or your voice messages, trying to hear their voice. No one talks about that.
Girl, let's talk about that. So let's talk about the ugliness, right? Because this is truth without edits, right? So we've talked a lot of truth today, but if you can think of a few more moments that you want to share with our audience listening today or watching, because those are ugly moments that we don't tend to talk about.
Yeah. So about a month after my dad passed away, I had gone to Florida with my husband because, again, I'm pregnant, like 13 weeks pregnant with this baby. And sidebar story. Do you mind if I sidebar story?
No, sidebar, please.
Okay. When my dad passed away, we didn't know whether this baby was a boy or a girl. My dad really wanted a boy. because he has granddaughters, he had step grandsons, but he really wanted a boy. And so we had a boy name and a girl name. Our boy name was going to be Luca. Our girl name would be Rosalia. And so I'm in the hospital a few days before, not after, my dad passed away. And I'm like, papi, ya tenemos nombre para el bebé. Si es nene, se va a llamar Luca. Si es nena, se va a llamar Rosalia, como tu mamá. His mom was Rosalia.
That's where you got the name from?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he was like, I'm going to reenact. He was like, ¡Oh, Luca, qué nombre más bello. Ay, me encanta ese nombre, Luca. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad, Dad. I thought he would like Rosalia more because it's his mom. Like, he could care less.
He wanted that boy.
Yeah. And so the day before he passed, I'm told that they're going to put him on a morphine drip because things are just not looking up. And that same day, I call my OB and I'm like, I explained the situation. And they were like, come on and we'll do the blood test and hopefully you get the results before your dad passes away. I'm like, awesome, thanks. So I go in to do the blood test. I had all this. Gio, my husband, is visiting my dad with his dad. And I think Gio sensed what I hadn't sensed yet, that this was like coming. Mm-hmm. And so Gio was like, there's a 50% chance it's a boy or a girl. I'm just going to shoot my shot and tell him that it's a boy. So
I love that he did that.
Yep. So Gio told my dad that our baby was going to be a boy, and my dad was head over heels like, oh, Luca, like, I'm so pumped, like, whatever. So at all this, I don't know that Gio has told my dad that it's a boy. And the next day, my mom calls me and she's like, hey, today's the day. Get ready. Come to the hospital. We're saying our last goodbyes. And I'm like, all right. So blood doesn't matter. The blood test, the results they didn't come in on time. But I didn't know again. And so a nurse is in the room and he's like, Mr. Moreno, I'm Mateo, blah, blah, blah. And my dad has a picture of my ultrasound. And he goes, Mateo, meet Luca. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so cute. Anywho. So that's like a little, and then everyone wanted our baby to be a boy because of that story.
As I can imagine.
It's a girl. Her name is Rosalia. She's awesome.
Yes.
And she looks just like my dad.
Oh.
She looks like me and I look like my dad.
Yes, exactly. You're his twin.
Exactly.
Oh.
But yeah, but everyone wanted a Luca and no, didn't happen. But yeah, and then fast forward, we have a second daughter, Gabriela. His dad's name is Gabriel.
Oh.
That wasn't intentional. It just worked out that way.
Oh, I love that. I'm so happy to know that he went to go be with the Lord thinking that Luca was on the way.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I love that. So the question that leads, follow-up question is, do you feel in your heart like you want to try for a Luca?
I want as many kids as
Okay.
I can have. My husband is more like, we got two, like, we're good. But we're not trying for a Luca. Like,
Okay.
we are happy as girl parents.
Okay.
If the Lord gives us a son, like, how awesome would that be? For sure, his name would be Luca.
For sure.
For sure.
Oh.
But if we never get a Luca, if we never get a third, we're fine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
What's supposed to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
How do you carry your father's memory with you in the way that you parent?
Music is a big part of how I parent. I don't play an instrument, but I sing, and I do pull out like a keyboard just to like do songs with the girls. Like, so music is a big part of how I parent. Also, the girls come to the cemetery with me. I brought both girls freshly newborn, like a week, old, to the cemetery. They come with me. They know that they're not visiting my dad. He's not there. But I'll say things like, we're going to visit the cemetery. This is where Abuelo's body is. This is where Abuelo Manuel's body is. And they run around the cemetery. They're toddlers. Like, they don't, it's not deep for them. It's not even deep for me. Like,
Yep, I get it.
I understand where my dad is, and I know he's not there. But yeah, it's part of them knowing that they had a grandfather, even though they never met him.
Yes.
Because,
Girl.
when I see my father-in-law playing with the girls, I'm just like, what? Like, it just feels like, man, they're missing out.
Yeah.
on having 2 awesome grandfathers, but they have one great grandfather. I'm so blessed with my father-in-law. But yeah, sorry about those vomiting sounds.
No.
That's like my way of
Expressing how the heck that feels.
Yeah.
And leading into that, because you just set that up so beautifully and you didn't know this question was coming. They say one of the hardest parts of grief is watching your kids grow up knowing someone who loved them isn't here to see it. If your dad could look down right now and see your girls, what do you think he'd notice? And what's one thing about each of them that you would want him to know?
Wow, that was deep.
Oh, that was even hard for me to ask.
So if he was looking down, what is one thing he would notice? And one thing about each of them I'd want him to know.
Correct. And your tissues are right there.
Thanks.
Sorry that they're far.
It's
You
okay.
could put them up here if you want.
Yeah, so here's your tissue.
Thank you.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, what is one thing that my dad would notice? I mean, if I'm going like just right off the top of my head, superficial, that Rosie looks just like him.
Yes. He would probably like as
He'd
soon
be like,
as
"Esa mi nieta."
eso mismo. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did she look like him from like the get, or did it take a little bit to develop into those features?
I think in those first few months it became obvious. Pero even like my dad had a birthmark right here. Rosie has it.
Oh, Leanese.
Rosie has it, and when she gets angry, like you could see it flare up, and it's the same one.
Oh, he would for sure be like, that's my grandbaby. He'd be walking around so proud.
Yeah.
Like she has my birthmark.
Yeah.
Oh my, if that's not like God's little wink at you, right?
Yeah. Oh, so many winks.
Girl.
So what would he notice about Gabby? That she's like so, both of them really, but each of them. She's just so loving and kind the way that my parents are, my mom is, and my dad was. My girls have a lot of kindness. And it's because of them. They taught me to be kind. I'm teaching my girls. And so I think he would love that. One thing that I wish he knew about them is that they will never not know him. Even if they never met him.
I love that. Is there anything that you would love to share with our audience that I did not get to ask you today in regards to grief, coping, preparing to lose someone they love, anything you can think of?
We could talk about this for a long time.
Yeah, we can.
We can talk about this for a long time. But if I'm going to pick, like, can it be 2 things?
Yes, please.
If you know your loved one is dying, plan the funeral. Just do it. It sucks. It hurts. You may be in denial, but just do it. I promise you, like, those first few weeks after they pass away will be so much easier. And you'll be able to focus on your grief because you'll have pre-done that hard work. But another thing, which was actually the first thing I wanted to share, is leaning into the pain and feeling it and letting it wash over you is so much more courageous and so much more healing than just pushing through, getting through another day, pretending that you could just stave off the pain for another day. That's going to hurt you in the long run. That's going to keep you stuck in this pit of pain. But if you just feel that taco in your throat and let it happen, who cares where you are? Just let the waterworks flow. You won't be a hot mess 3 years down the line because you'll have healed throughout the time. Instead of, I'm now having this mentee B.
Correct.
Because I've been pushing it down for so long.
Yep. You would have already been processing those feelings for a while.
Yeah.
That's such great advice. I want to do a quick rapid fire round and whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
First word that comes to mind when I say grief.
Jesus.
First word that comes to mind when I say faith.
Jesus.
Song that carried you through that season.
I don't know the name of the word, the name of the song, but it's the Maverick City. Oh, my God did not fail. That one. The story I'll tell. Girl.
Please.
Girl. That song. That song.
I love that. I love that because music especially worship has such a way to get us through those difficult moments.
Yeah.
I remember one time, like I was in prayer, like asking God, like, how do I get through a difficult moment? It wasn't when my son was sick or my grandmother. And I remember him just saying like, worship. Like it was so simple, like just worship through it. Right.
Yeah.
And like what that worship song will do for you is like unfathomably, incredibly amazing and healing.
Yeah.
Okay. A phrase or scripture that you held on to during that time.
I know God can, I know God will, but even if he doesn't.
Amen. One trait of your dad that you see in your girls, and I feel like you already mentioned a little bit, but if anything else comes to mind.
Their kindness, their love for music, and their like independence, their hard work. They want to work. That's like the number one thing I got from my dad.
They want to work,
ethic.
and they're how old?
Almost 4 and 2.
Love it. Love it. If you could plan a perfect day with your dad now and the girls, what would that look like?
I've never thought about this. Maybe because I've never allowed myself to think about it. I don't know. But it would be what I consider a perfect day now. Breakfast, coffee, music. My dad, when I was growing up, and my mom would like take us on drives in the countryside. So it'd be like a drive with the windows down in the countryside, the girls in the back seat singing, my dad like laughing or whatever. That'd be the perfect day with them.
That sounds beautiful to me. Leanese, it was so beautiful to have you here today.
Thanks.
This episode, I love all the episodes, but this one has resonated with me the most.
Thanks.
I'll hold it so close to my heart forever. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your heart with the world. And I know that there are men and women listening to this episode who are like, wow, like I've been there. And just listening to you speak, maybe they have just like this newfound hope, right?
Yeah.
Because just listening to how you've been able to get through it and where you are now, I think that could help many people.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Grief and joy are not opposites. Sometimes they live side by side. To carry both at once is heavy, but it also shows us the depths of love. Leanese's story is proof that even when healing isn't linear, faith can hold steady in the messiest, most tender parts of life. To anyone listening who is carrying grief, pregnancy after loss, or navigating the ache of losing a loved one, you are not alone. There's a space for your sorrow, and there's a space for your healing too. Ready to share what you've never said out loud? Visit truthwithoutedits.com and head to the Submit Your Truth tab to send your story. You can even submit anonymously. While you're there, feel free to check out our merch, stream the latest episodes, and join a community that's finally saying it all. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the show so you can stay in the know and be the first to hear when new episodes drop. Until next time, truth tellers, keep showing up loud and unedited.